Marty cannot come,
The
no.
meeting will begin,
Something must have come up at work, it was the last minute.
so we have the minutes to look at and approve.
Minutes
Oh,
from,
I'm sorry. We should introduce the right.
Audrey Reedy.
Joan Howard.
Linda Hayes, Director.
Dale Baylor. Debbie Young.
We have a call on. And so right now we will check the minutes and vote on the last 2 months' minutes.
Both
Everybody
March.
have a chance to look at it?
Which minutes would you like first?
We'll do March first.
Oh, we haven't read those one time.
I know, but there wasn't one. It wasn't finished. Did anybody have any additions or corrections for the March 13th?
No.
You hear a motion that be
I
accepted?
make a motion, we accept.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then now, the April 10th.
Thank you. I read this in a moment.
Everyone have a chance to look at them?
Yes.
You see any additions or corrections?
No.
Is there a motion that it be accepted?
I make a motion. I second.
All in favor?
I have a question
About the minutes?
just about the board members. You wrote in these minutes, there was a shortage. Is there anything new on that?
Yes, I have a part of that in my report, fine.
I will come
Okay.
in it, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So now we will go ahead to the director of Linda's
My
report.
report, okay. Hi, everybody, welcome. I just generally wanted to mention, of course, we're thrilled at the result of the town meeting, the vote on the town meeting warrant that the Friends had brought as a citizen's petition, and it was voted to provide funding for the needs assessment. The town administrator is working on the request for the scope of services currently, and will be able to complete or bring that to contract potentially after July 1st. So we're looking at that date to be able to contract or start shortly thereafter the work on the needs assessment. If we're able to contract with the known entity, then the estimated time frame for the project would be 9 to 12 months. That's the word we had received, and I did confirm that too. So that's very exciting, and I'm thrilled for that. For other areas of concentration in activities at the senior center, we are increasing participation in our cafe talks. So we had one in April and have 2 scheduled for May, and other informational opportunities to bring more seniors into the community this spring and summer. Summer editions we're planning on for activities and programs. Softball does begin, or actually might have begun last week, I think. Walking, hiking, trips, excursions around locally, and kayaking we're looking to bring, whether in part with the recreation department or on our own. We're looking to try to partner with the rec department, which would be great. Some special interest activities. We want to start the summer book group. I'd like to have some movies, a monthly movie or two, which we can either do at the senior center with some technology I'll figure out, or the library possibly. And then some technology training, which in fact we have coming or beginning next week with students from the high school who are volunteering to train seniors in devices, iPads, mobile phones, laptops. We did decide to have next week's session, which is Wednesday the 14th, 2:30 until 4, so we can still take sign-ups for that if anyone sees this. But they have wireless at the high school, and we as yet do not at the senior center, so just to facilitate that a little bit better.
Where would it be?
At the high school.
Nice.
But you can talk with Melanie Schneider at the senior center to sign up for that if you would like. Also some health and wellness programs we have planned for the summer as well. We're looking at some caregiver resources. That is going to be a concentration for us in the next few months. Looking at coffee talks, a discussion group, and a finance elder law information series in June. We're also working on a volunteer appreciation luncheon for June, scheduled for June 17th here at the Maritime Center for our existing volunteers, which we will be sending out invitations for. I believe they had it here the last 2 years, in fact. So.
It's nice, very nice.
We are also working on volunteer recruitment and placement into some new areas of interest so that we can get volunteers to be active in areas that they're interested in that will help stimulate and sustain them as volunteers at the senior center and expand what we're able to offer as well, of course. Recreationally and special interest-wise, we'd love to have more volunteers working with us at the senior center. Another intergenerational activity that has been launched already is with the Jenkins School. So we have 2 volunteers currently through the senior center working with, one is with a 1st grade class and one is with a 4th grade class. And then 2 more are waiting for September to begin that with the Jenkins School, but that's great. I believe they're doing reading with them.
Great.
We have we are working on a Boston Museum of Fine Arts trip in June as well, using our COA van, which makes things easy. Nominal cost for that. Our Health and Wellness Fair we're planning for October. And also the annual art show, we believe we're planning for either end of August or September. So those are some things that are coming up, many of which have happened before, it's just maybe on a different schedule. Exercise classes some of them, most of them seem to take a hiatus for the summer, so we're looking to supplement with some new classes or just the outdoor activities if we don't have the indoor exercise. Publicity, program and event notices will now appear in the Patriot Ledger starting in the next week or 2, so that might help some people who don't read the local paper. I did include in my report attendance for exercise and the leisure and recreational activities. We have the classes, garden club workshop, the history class that we hold, and the field trips as well. We did have, we finished the 3-part coastal field trip that was led by Bob Jackman and David Ball. They actually had 2 in April, and then the 3rd was yesterday, in fact, and they went to Hummerock for that. But it was really well received. Everyone loved it. Everyone loves everything they do. So we hope to continue that maybe in a small way this summer with outdoor excursions, but certainly in the fall with more history, local history classes. So they're on board and we're on board. We did also Monday have a men's breakfast, which we have every month, and the last 3 have been well attended. We had 20 attend this past Monday, 20 last month, 27 the month before. All men. I invited the ladies, but well, I have to admit, our staff is pretty good. Melanie is, it doesn't hurt, she's a nutrition expert. She was a nutrition major, that's nice. And she can cook, so we all contribute, but, and it's been different everyone, so the bar is way up here. We're not sure if we can keep it up. So anyway, but we had Roger Crawford, who builds the melon seed skips over in Hummerock, and he did bring the boat, and it was this close to the door coming in. We had to hold the doors open as much as we could. They had to lift it and put it on its side. But I think the guys really enjoyed. He talked about his beginnings, its beginnings, the boat building process, the completion of it, and the sailing of it. So it was really very informative. He was there for 2 hours. It was great.
Great.
So we do have others coming up as well. So whether it's a Wednesday cafe talk, informational opportunity for anyone. The men's breakfast as well, which I have stated in the newsletter, so it's official. If the lady really would like to come because they love the topic, then they should, and they would be welcome.
Or if they want to move in there. Good.
That's true. So we do have a Maintaining Your Brain with Susan Sheehan from Life Care this month in May, and we also have the geographer Michael Thompson from the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary here coming on May 28th, which in fact is a Wednesday morning. And then the Elephant Sanctuary in June, on June 4th. Also in the packets for the board are the transportation reports and the outreach services report. The outreach is broken down into home visits, office consults, telephone consults, meetings and events that the outreach coordinator may attend, whether to just be familiarized with certain facilities that might be available or also to attend informational and educational seminars herself. Duplicated numbers for people we've served, 116, and unduplicated 56. So what that says, and I'm going to, I have a few reports I just thought I'd acquaint the board with because we get these electronically off of my senior center, which is our electronic system that everybody checks into, we hope, and we are trying to ensure that people check in so that we do get these great numbers. But when it says duplicated as 116, that's every scan. The same person could scan as many times as they were coming into the center. The unduplicated number says that 56 are unique. 56 of 116 are unique individuals scanning it. So that just does tell you that at least each individual is seen potentially almost twice or spoken to by the outreach coordinator. The transportation report, Q always gives us the previous month and the current month that we're speaking about, in this case April, so we can see the difference, and in this case it's been rising since January, which is obviously mostly weather dependent and winter dependent, and in some cases people may have left the area for the winter. So she talks about the daily rides, the link rides, and the MAP medical access program, which I'm actually going to talk about just briefly because we are renewing that, and I just thought it was a good opportunity to familiarize people with the service. And then volunteer drivers as well. So that is in the report, total volunteer hours, total miles driven by the vans. She says rides increased a bit more this month. Out-of-town medical rides remained the same in total, but each month we acquire a few new rides or riders, both for local, around town shopping, and for the out-of-town medical appointments. She seems to think more folks are calling in having heard about the services and wanting to take advantage of them, so that is great.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Over here under the notes, continue to complete Salvation Army application.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
That, I should know. It's in our newsletter, I will just say that, and that is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's an additional resource for fuel assistance,
Okay,
I believe.
I think you're right.
I would have to check that, and I didn't read the newsletter.
Thank you.
It's just, she's very good at going out and honestly finding supplemental resources other than hearing what is straightforwardly offered through the state. What I do want to mention then again about our MAP 5, again it stands for Medical Access Program. It's the Title III funding of Older Americans Act of 1965, so the money's been around that long, and we acquire it through Social Elder Services. They contract Social Community Action Council to actually provide the transportation for us. Through this grant, there is $15,000, and it's split evenly between 5 towns: Scituate, Hull, Cohasset, Norwell, and Hingham. A little further away. One town, and for the last 2 years it's been us, actually tracks and bills for the ridership, and then we are reimbursed through social elder services for that, but it's an administrative responsibility, which actually does take some time. It's supposed to rotate, so we would be giving it up after the 2 years anyway, but there's a proposal right now where we have asked, and it was introduced by Hingham's Council on Aging Director, that South Shore Community Action Council actually write the grant, submit the grant collectively for all of us, and then also administer disseminating the funds, taking in the reports, the data, and paying out the money. What happens is if one town isn't using their $3,000 come June, if they know that they may not meet the whole full total of that ridership amount that's been spent, then another town can request it and they can have it if we're not using it. According to the contract for the grant, we are required to ask for donations, discretionary donations, which are supposed to meet 15%. So in our case, it would be 15% of $3,000. We do ask for the donations, we do receive some, we don't meet the 15%, and it doesn't seem to matter that we don't, but it is mandatory that we request them. But it does out-of-town medical appointments. Now, we also have the link, which also does out-of-town medical appointments. So part of Q's responsibility as transportation coordinator is just to understand where she has the money and how to best spend it so that we are using the resources that we receive as often as possible and as much as possible. And she says, in fact, that we do that.
Good.
The link is supported by GATRA and a portion of the town budget. So we also receive money from GATRA, which is again through the state, but through another source.
In my lifetime, am I going to see a gap for bus in Scituate?
You know, I'm actually going to inquire about that because I know it hasn't happened here yet where you can just ride the GATRA bus to anywhere as an individual, as a citizen. We get the services supported through them as a COA, but I'll find out about that. Someone else had asked before.
Linda, do you know, at one point, it must have maybe 6 months, a year ago, but it was mentioned that Q could make use of some volunteer drivers and escorts. Is that still the case?
She does, in fact, in her report, she used...
No, can she use a new one?
I'm sure she could, yes.
Yeah, but what was it? No, wasn't it that?
There's always an ebb and a flow.
Yeah.
Some may take the summer off, I'm not sure, but I would say yes to that. Also, sort of as just an addendum to my report, I did include, if everyone saw this page of my senior center reports. Just as an example, I can get a report that just shows event occurrences. In other words, what did we do at the senior center? Not how many people came, but what did we do for community education? So I have a report that tells me I gave one cafe talk, I had one support group, and I had one history class where there were 4 occurrences in the month. So in other words, a weekly class. So it can give me the whole rundown and give you, if you were interested in, all of the categorized activities, programs, events that we held at the senior center. So that's one report showing community education, cultural, fitness or exercise, information sharing, instructional, recreation, social, and social services, which would be outreach.
Excuse me, what is this under information sharing, convener, what is that?
Well, that is really just use of the public computers
Oh,
at the senior
people that
center.
have- yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, we categorize that as information sharing. Also, I included, just again as an example, how the numbers appear if I print event statistics, and in this case, it's for each category, how many participants scanned in. Now, on the one hand, sometimes we can check and we can see that we know not everyone scanned in, and maybe we have taken names, or maybe we have a way of just remembering, or we can input it manually. But sometimes we know the numbers are off, so we have to compensate for that and might add 10% to the number that we have.
It's hard to get people in the habit of.
It is, and it's hard to carry around the cards, and every now and then there's something inconvenient at the center. But again, we would be told, and it's for the month generally, or we could run it for any period of time, but duplicated and unduplicated.
Great.
So if the same person came in and used the computer 6 times, they would show up 6 times, but then they would be counted as 1 for duplicated. So that's how the numbers work.
I think the people, the senior people are much better.
Absolutely.
I mean, about using and checking in.
Yeah, they really don't mind as long as
It's like
you...
to highlight, the first thing they want to do is, when I do my shift.
Yeah, I think making them aware of how we use the numbers is great, has been great. I have another report that tells me about volunteer hours. So if a volunteer comes in and tells us that they work for 2 hours making a delivery or driving someone or sitting at the front desk for 3 or 4 hours that day, then I can calculate here not only the hours that they were here and in what category they served, but also the pay equivalent. So it tells me that for the month of April, volunteers worked the equivalent of $1,500 for us. Pretty good.
Great.
So that's where we both save money and get the value of their services at the center. And lastly is the transportation, a report that I can get, and again, Q keeps these numbers accurate. The ridership, we can find out whether they were driven to attend a COA program at the senior center, and or what kind of COA program at the senior center or off-site, whether, let's see, whether they used an escort, whether they were medical in town or medical out of town, whether they went to the lunch nutrition site that Social Elder Services provides, or whether they went to an off-site lunch at the other sites, the churches, whether they went for shopping locally or shopping special, which would be Shaw's, which is out of town technically, and shopping locally is anywhere downtown in the harbor. So that's nice too. We can actually see what the ridership is doing. And lastly, there's a breakdown, not that it matters terribly, we don't use this report an awful lot, but they're bigger numbers. How many use the senior center for events, how many use the senior center for rides, how many use the senior center for outreach services, and how many volunteers contribute to the senior center. So that's just another bigger report, bigger numbers.
So for the month of April, you had 50 volunteers helping out? That's excellent.
Well, 50 times, 20 volunteers.
Times.
Yeah.
So
In other words, unduplicated is
okay.
20.
Okay. That's so good though.
It is very good.
Yeah.
That, I believe, is my report.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Very thorough.
This is a good report for us. I know, I've never seen it. I know that it was available, but to actually see it is great,
Okay. That's good.
So I went to the South Shore Elderly Services, which was on Tuesday, May 1st, in Braintree. They had held an end-of-life planning forum in Quincy, which included everything like wills and hospice, funeral arrangements, everything would need, if plans to make for the end of your life. And they had all kinds of people there answering. It was very successful. It was on April 16th. It was, they also had live Twitter, and South Shore Elderly is doing Twitter very much. So they even had people from like Alaska, all different states and all, tweeting during the meeting, asking questions and all. So it was, even though it snowed, they felt it was really successful.
Did it snow?
They did, yeah, on April 16th. Yeah. They continue to grow. South Shore Elderly is really growing because now they deal with adults with disabilities that are not seniors, and that's increased. They're really in great shape. They're in the media. They're being contacted by all kinds of people, and they're doing a great job. Sandra is a wonderful director. She's really good.
What's her last name, John? Excuse me, what's Sandra's last name? Oh, that's right.
Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Thank you.
And she goes all over. She goes to California. She goes, all the different meetings she's been to. There are a lot of changes that you probably know in the healthcare, the state, and politics, so she's really up on top of that, and every meeting we have, something has changed. They also are very big at encouraging home care services because it's better for the clients. It's also much cheaper for Medicaid and Medicare. And nationally, the trend is towards moving out of nursing homes into facilities or the home with care. That's a big thing that they are working on. They have a great website. It's southshoreelderly.org, it's sselderly.org, and they have all kinds of information. They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, everything. Eventually, everything is really going electronic on the website and whatnot, and that's a big thing. They have an upcoming annual volunteer recognition luncheon on Thursday, June 19th. And this recognizes all their volunteers, including Meals on Wheels. And that's at Lantana.
Wow, yeah, we need someplace.
It's at Lantana, it's an annual thing. And they give out awards for how many years, different years, like 5, 10, 15. A big fundraiser for that is they have raffle tickets, and the big prize is $500. And Ann Donahue won that one year.
Wow.
The second prize is $300. The third is $200, and then they have a lot of things that are donated by different companies. So I have tickets for that. That's one of the big.
How much are the raffle tickets?
$1.
$6 for $5 or $1 a piece. They also talked a lot about volunteer, and I'm going to have Linda make copies to have at the center. That volunteers matter, and it tells all about the different types of volunteers they're looking for. They have a visitors program, money management, Meals on Wheels, working with people in the nursing home. And so they're encouraging that. I know in Scituate we need more people with Meals on Wheels because we're getting more clients.
And you will continue as we age to
And
larger numbers.
that's a big thing that they talk about is how can South Shore Elderly Services help you? And you know, information, outreach, referral departments. You can talk with one of our well-trained information specialists about your particular needs. You just have to call. We can provide you with a wealth of information about services, resources for individuals with disabilities, elderly, and caregivers. They're doing a lot now with caregivers. We can guide you in locating the proper services or programs. We can provide you with information on housing options in nursing homes, and there's a whole lot of other things, but those are some of the main ones. And I think that's it. Good. They're really great meetings. There's really a lot of information, and realize how much work that they're doing.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Do we know how many volunteers help with the Meals on Wheels, or the nutrition set?
No, I would guess 30 at least.
Really?
Because we have volunteers that work in the kitchen and get the bags ready and help with the lunch that they have on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then we have 4 drivers, lately 5 drivers, because we have home rock a day. And I would say like maybe 3 of us do more than 1 day, but most of them do 1 day. And it's usually around an hour.
And then also serving at the nutrition site, we have 3 days. And
Yeah, well, the ones that help do in the kitchen, pack the bag and stuff, also help with the lunch. And we usually have 1 or 2 people that do that.
And what is the process to get involved with that? Contacting, filling out an application with
And
them?
you can stop and ask Tammy, who's the site manager, and she can get you an application, and it goes to South Shore Elderly, and you have to have a check, it would be
Quality check?
quality check.
I believe there's a flyer at the senior center that tells you.
Because you can do it just 1 day a week if that's.
That's most of
scheduled out.
them, most of them do it just 1 day a week, and you don't have to drive, you can work in the kitchen.
Oh, good to know.
Okay. I guess I wanted to include clarification on the Council on Aging Board status. And I did find out that this week, and I'm not sure if you received it, so Joan, as the chair, would receive a letter, which I believe was sent out yesterday,
Right.
from Lorraine Devon, the executive assistant for the Board of Selectmen. Once she receives the letter, she then is charged with contacting each of the board members whose term may be expiring to see if they're interested in continuing that term or if that vacancy then remains for us to fill. A notice will appear in the Mariner with vacancies for any of the boards that the town fills, including us. And then any names provided or letters of intent submitted to the Board of Selectmen will be reviewed, which I believe they are doing either at the May meeting or the June meeting. So the process is now in place, and it's just begun, I guess. So that is the status, so you will have that information.
Yeah, I got that, and I contacted the
Okay.
people and told them what they had to do. Yeah.
Okay. So we will know whether there's formal interest or no interest, and then
Right.
move from there. So I did want to be able to report on that, and then I guess the next one is myself as well. So the Mass Council on Disabilities meeting, their next meeting in May, for which we should have a representative, is May 15th, which is a Tuesday. No, it's not, it's a Thursday. Did I say May 15th? No, for some reason I think it's
It's a Thursday.
It
It's a week
is.
from today.
It is at 7:30 at the Red Schoolhouse, which I have not been to, but I hear it's nice.
It's nice, it's really nice.
Okay.
Where is it?
Little Red Schoolhouse?
It's up near the...
Right behind gates.
Right behind gates.
Oh, right across. Oh, sure.
So if anyone on the board would be interested in representing us at that meeting, let me know or Joan know. Although when are you leaving
I'm
town?
leaving Sunday
Okay,
for 2 weeks.
so let me know.
Oh, good to go on.
Okay, that is it for my items.
Okay, is there any new business anybody had to bring up?
Go ahead.
Not here.
Joanne, do you have any more?
We are going to on May 20th.
Do you-
Maybe could you go up?
Do you want me out there?
Sorry.
Slide in.
I have mine.
On May 20th, we are having a lecture on, actually, it's not the historical sites, it's about the history of the town, the center of town in that area. It's at 4 o'clock and we're offering desserts, coffee, tea. We would like anybody to come, not just seniors, but anybody that would like to come. It's $5 a person.
I heard the speaker is excellent.
I don't
It
know.
was hard to get.
I had questions on that today. I had a person actually ask me, does he know the history of this town?
I think so.
But anyway, Dave Ball is the speaker. He's done a lot of history talks in town. He's president of the Historical Society. Also, we are still, the Friends is still moving on, visiting different senior centers. And we've added one person to go with us, and we had a great opportunity down at Orleans, and we're very impressed with it in general, inside and out. We went to Dennis, which is a 35-year-old building that could use a little bit of updating, but we at least saw that it's a large area with a lot of space and storage.
They were pioneers.
Pardon?
They were really pioneers.
Yes, and we're also going, yes, pioneers, and the other thing is they raised, the Friends raised money for that Dennis building. And after they paid it off in 5 years, the mortgage on it, they handed it over to the town, and I think that's why it needs to be spruced up. I also learned that Wilbraham, which is the size of our community, has, through their friends, raised so far $160,000 to build a new senior center. And they're going for a feasibility study, like they call it a feasibility study. It's the same thing. And I think there are a lot of other communities. Every community we've gone to has said we need more space. But I think if you build the main building and make sure that there's room to grow in it or on the land or wherever you're doing it, then you'll be all right. And that's something that, yes, we have to accept, that we may not have the biggest building, but that if we have the room to grow in it, we'll be all set to go further. Cohasset has started this.
I said I had a picture and I left it in the car.
Yeah, and it's, from what I can see when I drove by it the other day, it's 8,000 square feet. They are not asking the town for the money.
Did they get it developed? I
They
heard
had
that they got the
something
offer.
They got $1 million.
Yeah, so they build it and then they're gonna lease it back to the town.
Yeah, they got $1 million, and I heard also that $1 million was not just limited to Cohasset, but it's just that the woman that gave the $1 million came from there. So they were the first ones to get it. So
They also got some large donations.
yeah. And that we're looking for some rich, wealthy person to help us, right?
Even somebody doesn't have to be too rich, there's somebody who wants to get out there and work on it.
Well, this is the other thing. In Orleans, they sent out a letter to the community, to everybody in the community, saying they needed funds. And they raised $9,000 out of that letter, doing nothing but talking about the needs.
An
they got
appeal,
9,000.
basically an appeal letter.
Yeah. And then the other thing they raised is $5,000 in having all the restaurants do a fair, that they would cook something special. And that's how, and it was all done through the Friends, raising them. And I know Duxbury has a straight budget of $175,000, but they help with paying for workers. The other thing is in Orleans, she hires seniors, and they're only hired part-time. And that way the town doesn't have to pay for insurance or anything. She says they're the best workers to hire, and she really enjoys it.
Well,
That's
it's a
true in the
beginning.
private sector also.
It is.
You have to crawl.
It's true in the private sector, older people, their values, the work ethic seems to be stronger.
Well, and the seniors, she said, they don't want to work a lot of hours,
But they want to work well.
but yeah, but if they have Social Security, of course, their income has to be limited.
Right.
And this works out very well. She has 3 custodians that are all part-time. Even her outreach, 2 outreach women are part-time. And the other thing, their outreach women are trained so that if somebody goes to a doctor and is told, I need you to come back the next day, and they haven't been able to book it in with you people, the outreach people are trained, and they drive them to their second appointment, so that they don't have 4-day notice that they have to give. It was very interesting. A lot of ideas were given to us.
That's good.
So, we'll continue on. I think we're going to Mashpee next.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know,
I just want to say, my mother lives in Rockland, and their new senior center.
Is it open?
It's opening, I believe, it's approximately June 6th. I don't think they've officially, it's June, somewhere the first week of June. And I drove by it with my mother, and I'm telling you, it looks great. But it was with the town. The town was an override. And, of course, none of the seniors have been in it, but my mother was telling me that it was announced that one of the rooms was fully decorated, all the furniture supplied by a local dentist. And he wanted to, and he dedicated in honor of his mother. And every single item in that senior center, this is the news and review, according to my mother, they're not bringing one single thing from the old senior center. Everything is going to be brand spanking new. And this building, we drove by, it's just great. And it's wood, and it's...
Every one of the centers that we went to, they're not brick. The only one is Plymouth. And Plymouth, to me, I realized two things. One, it was designed by a school architect, not by a senior center architect. It's gorgeous, but it's like walking into a hotel. And that's, we have to first get our study done.
That's
Once we get that study done,
one step at a time.
yes, then we can start working on other things. But we're still going out there and seeing what we can find out, and we're still going to have fundraisers and still raise money. And most everybody that has given us any small donations, it's been specified it's for the new center. It's not to go for anything else at this point, because that's what they want, is a new center. But they've also got to help work with us too. But we have a group that is doing this event, and I'm parking people.
And we're going to talk it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the mail.
I saw it.
Twice.
I saw it.
It was put in by Nancy,
Yeah.
and it was in the,
I saw it.
yeah,
On page 2,
Yeah.
and then around town.
yeah, and it's supposed to go in next week again.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
The other new business is that the community dinner at St. Luke's is Sunday, May 25th, 5 o'clock. And they're gonna have meatloaf and potatoes and peas and carrots and fruit pies. So hope you come.
And the tribe?
Does St. Luke's doing some construction?
Yes, yeah. No, it's for the community. If you want to give a donation, you can, but it's not required. We've been doing this for like 8 years now. We get
Good crowd.
50 to 80 people. Last month, Rotary did it, and we had 75 people, not including the workers.
And one other piece of, just, information, many of you probably have seen it, but the Methodist Church on First Parish Road, they have a big sign out, of course you've seen it, Joan, but it's We Run Shoes, and it's slightly used shoes, sneakers, sandals, and any donations are welcomed. And they have 2 barrels at the top of the driveway. So you don't even have to go inside. You can just drop the used shoes or sandals in the barrels. The barrels have an elastic top, and it's fairly easy to do, especially if you're going to be spring cleaning in your closet. And actually, I saw the sign, the queue in the senior center, told me about it, and then I started. I put boxes in Wheeler Park and everything. People just started cleaning their closets. What better way to put your shoes to good use? So anyone out there that's going to be doing any spring cleaning, start with the closet, start with your shoes, and you can give them to the Harbor Methodist Church.
Thank you. Do I hear?
I make a motion, the meeting be adjourned.
Second. So moved at 6:15.
Have a wonderful time.
So we vote.